so they'll be in a second. But again, you probably hear me say this to every guest, quite close to the mic.
Okay, yeah,
we want to hear you. So, well, firstly, thanks for coming in. I'm excited. I'm a bit nervous today because I haven't done a podcast for 2.5 weeks.
Oh, is that how long it's been, is it?
A long time. Well, they go out every week, but like today I've got 2, for example.
Oh, have you? Oh, wow.
Which I love doing. I could do them all day. It's a strange art, podcasting, because you have these intimate and comfortable conversations about personal stuff that are sometimes easier to do on a podcast than they are to do in what I call real life. So I was out with a friend last week and we were talking about some difficult stuff, and I was really uncomfortable because it was, we were talking about uncomfortable stuff, but it's stuff I talk about on here all the time. I'm like, why is it easier to speak in front of 25,000 people than it is to speak one-to-one with a person in a coffee shop?
It's funny, isn't it? Because a lot of people don't actually live in reality. So that if you think about it from a social media perspective, you don't, the things that people say on social media, like trolls and stuff, you would never say that to somebody's face to face. This sort of environment, I think you can. It's less one-to-one because you're putting it out there. I think if you are speaking to a friend, for instance, or a peer, it can be quite hard. I think speaking to somebody you don't know that well can be a lot easier.
Yeah, I think so. And I think sometimes I feel like I'm speaking for myself and other people on this podcast. So I'm sharing what I see through my years of coaching as people's fears, vulnerabilities that might just need a bit of courage to be out there. But even on social media, it's not just the trolls that put out the fake stuff. I think even good intentional people without knowing can put out the falsehood of life. I'm guilty. I put out all my best stuff. I very rarely share the deepest, darkest stuff. I wouldn't want to on social media. It's not a part I want going out, but you have to, I guess, disconnect and realise that it is a little bit of an illusion, what we see out there.
Very much so. I mean, there's not very many people who put the bad stuff on social media. You only see the good stuff, and that, unfortunately, we see that with so many people that we perceive are in a good place, and they're not. They are, next thing you know, they're being reported as being taking their own life, and that's a sad state of affairs, I think, because we don't share everything very well.
I don't know if it's the place to share stuff though, because I mean, how do you differentiate attention seeking versus someone who's genuinely needing help? Because there's attention seekers all over the internet, right?
Oh, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
they are absolutely everywhere, and sometimes that's the only platform that they think they can actually do that. Oh, there's your coffee.
Yes.
Where they feel safe, I think it's.
Well, coffees are locked out. We'll let you in. Hello, just watch that phone. Sorry, I'm going to jump back on the mic. Watch your...
Thank you.
Sorry, we're just getting coffees in the room. The tea's for me. I'm a plain English tea. Thank you. You're famous, by the way. You're on...
Thank you.
You can say hello. Don't be shy.
Give a wave.
Is this your first podcast, by the way, now?
It is.
Yeah? I'm good. Thank you very much.
We're all about to do a dance. You can do it next.
Yes, so, that's the world of social media, isn't it?
It's a funny old place. And I think with sorry.
That's all right.
I think with I learned a very hard lesson once when I sent an email, which I, with all best intentions, and that email wasn't perceived in the way I sort of wanted it to. And I think with social media as well, especially Twitter and things like that, there's no emotion in words. You don't see the emotion behind what people are saying. And this email I sent, I believed all with best intentions, but because there was no emotion behind it, it didn't come across very well. I got a bit of a grilling for that. I think face to face is very important. That's probably one thing we've all learned during the pandemic, especially we have as an organisation, is that face to face goes a long way because you don't see the emotion.
That's true, and Twitter is very reactive. It's right. There's it's going on. There's a thread. See something, react, type, boom, hit send. Because there's always that old theory that if you're going to send an email that's got emotion in it, maybe wait 24 hours, see if the emotion's passed, and then is the email worth
Never
sending?
send an email when you're angry.
Never. But it's receiver as well. So if you send an email that's not full of anger, but I'm reading it as the reader in an angry state, I could pick up. I can read it how I want to read it. Yeah. So I'll make my own mind up, usually depending on what state I'm in. This is where, the email communication is a difficult thing to master. Never something I've been into. Reflection's
a great thing.
Yes.
It is always and it's a bit like lessons learned as well, I suppose. I think it's sometimes better to reflect on things before doing stuff. And I mean, I've don't get me wrong, I have reacted in an instant to things and then regretted it. Probably all through my life, to be honest.
Yeah, of course.
I think the older you get, you learn a bit better and maybe keep your mouth shut.
I like to think so. I like to think we're wiser as we become older men. I guess that's not true of everybody.
No.
It's
Donald Trump.
yeah, he's a good example, I guess. But yeah, it's like you say, reflection before you do. The thing that I have with that is, well, how much is too much reflection? How much reflection can keep you into procrastination? It's a difficult balance. I mean, I haven't got the answers. It's just, how much time do I spend pondering and wondering how things are going to pan out? I think more you can reflect on, does this represent the best version of me? Yeah. So I think, especially in terms of, like, if we take it basic as goal setting, it's okay to fail at anything, and it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to fuck up. But I think the thing that I would always reflect on is, how does this portray my integrity? Do I feel like I'm doing the right thing? Because the right thing is very rarely the easy thing, is it?
No, and I think especially in business, I suppose, in organisations, but public sector or private sector, there's a perception of the right thing sometimes, and that's down to individuals, and that can be, lessons learned, experience, technical knowledge, but if the right thing doesn't sit with what is required of the business, then that's where you start to find yourself being in a sticky position where it becomes a moral issue then, I think.
So do you mean the conflict between your values and the business's values? Yeah, that's true. That happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, massively. Yeah. And, businesses and organisations make those decisions for the right reasons. One, it's for survival. Two, it's because they've got a legislative requirement to do so. But sometimes it just doesn't sit right with you. And some of that is from experience, and some of that is because it's always been the way it's been done. And that's where the dinosaurs come in.
Have you got an example of that then in your life?
Oh, my Lord. Where do I start? I think for me, family, my family are very, and they'll kill me for this, my family are very set in their ways, I believe. They've lived in a small village in the north of Scotland for a long time. Although my father he was in the Navy for 20 odd years, he's travelled the world, yet he's lived there for 20 odd years. And I will take my family up and we'll spend all the time we can up with them and all this sort of stuff. And yet, nothing's worked around us. It says we have to work around them, which is fine because we're going to their home. But it's not the same when they come down to us. They're on holiday, they do what they want to do. So it's a bit, it can be frustrating. Because it's the way they are set, it's the way they've always done things, it's the way they are built. Which is frustrating for me. I think that happens in organisations a lot. I think, especially in public sector, that happens a lot. Yeah. And we're seeing that now. Not to get too sort of political, the RMT are currently going through a lot of industrial action. And if you look at it from a business perspective, they want to evolve. They want to go through that change management process. Yeah, there's a lot of things that have always been done a certain way. They don't want to change. And that's unfortunate. And unfortunately, the union and the strike process is there for a reason. It's always a very, very last resort. But it's just, they're loggerheads. And sometimes I think that's where mediation comes in, and they just need somebody to bang their heads together.
I think on a deep level, values and core beliefs are traditionally really difficult to change, if not impossible. So there's a brilliant guy who I've had on called Alan Dovey on the podcast. I don't know if you...
friend of mine. Yep.
Of course.
Yeah.
Is my brain. Of course, you know Alan. He's a great guy, right?
Yeah.
Very clinical. And he delivered a great training to our guys. And he said there was a study done of psychopaths had therapy for 7 years, twice a week, didn't miss any sessions, and the change was nothing. There was no change in them. Their core beliefs were so deep. Any amount of therapy, any amount of education and learning could not change who they were at their very, very core. Yeah. So I think we do have those values. Businesses, probably not so much, of course, but if you think they're evolved or they've been set up by a human being with a set of values that probably flood into the business, it's like they're a stubborn thing to change.
Management is an absolute minefield. It's an awful thing to do. I mean, I went to uni and done leadership management. A big part of that is change management and the ability to manage change management, and it's a big thing. And culture within that is one of the hardest things to evolve. I'm not going to say change, because I think culture is very important in an organisation, but to mould it into something either better or that's to benefit the organisation is extremely hard. Extremely hard, because you're talking about people.
Of course. That's what the appeal about the military to me is that it can, I believe, carve out certain behaviours and values in people.
Definitely.
It's machine-like, which I think people know when they're signing up for, well, you can tell me, you sign up for the military knowing that you're going to be turned into almost machine-like. Like, we're going to do things this way, you're going to get up at this time, you're going to eat this, you're going to do this. And I don't know where the appeal is in that for me personally, but perhaps it takes away some of that thought process. I was thinking about this morning, some of the emotional stuff that I'm going through. I thought it would be great not to have that in my life and just be get up, do this, boom, job. And don't worry about fucking anything else. This is your only job. We will tell you what to do, when to do it.
Yeah, it is. I would say, like me, a lot of people that join the military join because they're escaping something, whether that be their home life, whether that be where they live. You know, they don't believe they're going to amount to anything because they live in a certain place, and there's a social aspect as well. There's also, you know, and mixed in with that, the whole family does it. The whole my whole family are ex-forces. You know, my dad was in the Navy, my grandfather was in the Navy. Uncles are in the Navy, my cousins were in the military. None of them were in the RAF, which is a good thing. Nobody likes the RAF. So it's very much, for me, it was escapism. I needed to get out of the environment I was in, and you're right. They do mould you into something. The way they do that is they break you down physically, mentally, and then they mould you into that person they want you to be. Very different across the services when it comes to discipline, because they've obviously got very different functions. But it's all moulded on the same concept of building that individual into a fighting machine to be able to do the will of the monarchy and our peers. So it's a good thing. However, the flip side of that is you become very institutionalized, because you get fed, watered, somewhere to sleep. Unless you're the RAF, you stay in a hotel, you get good food, and you get your hair cut for you. You
don't like the RAF, do you?
My friend will be listening to this, and he's RAF, so he knows where I'm coming from. They do get lots of grief. But what happens is you almost become reliant on it, and when you do decide to leave, or you're unfortunately kicked out, it's a hard place, because the real world is not kind in comparison to what you've been used to. And I struggled with that when I left. I
can't resonate too much because I haven't been in the military, but I can see exactly why that would be a problem for somebody who's especially kind of been active warfare. To come back to normal civilization must be very difficult. I heard a stat, and you might be able to help me out on this one. It might be across the whole of the military, but it was on the Joe Rogan podcast that I heard it, and they were saying that there are more deaths from suicide of ex-vets than there are actually killed in war. So we lose more people through suicide than we do in actual warfare.
Yeah, we've lost more from the conflicts in Falklands, Iraq and Afghan than we did actually in kinetic action.
Which is just mind-blowing. Yeah, that is crazy. Is that because of a lack of care for the people coming out of the army, or is that because what you see and witness is so terrifying that it destroys you forever?
I think it's probably a mixture of both, to be honest. It's, you know, that shock of coming into reality is it can be quite harsh on people, and they don't know how to handle it. I mean, the percentage of veterans that are on the streets is shocking, really. The divorce rates are massive. Just mentioned suicides are really high, and just people generally not being in a good place. And I think there's a lot of things there. One is you lose an identity. You lose who you are. You know, in the military, you can build up a certain persona. You're well known. Once you leave, you lose the identity. And Carl Fox talks about this.
Yeah,
and he talks about when he was P7RD, which is discharged. He lost who he was. I mean, he was at the top of his game. You know what I mean? So to lose that identity of something that he loved and he was clearly very good at was a massive, massive kick in the balls. And I would say most, if not all, feel like that when they leave, is that loss of identity. And it's also going out there realising you have to pay, you know, council tax. You got to pay for your food and water. You've got to, and it's why I go to an interview, because this is one of the things you get told when you leave, is that, oh, you're going to step outside, you go walk straight into a job. It's not like that. It's not like that. Just because
what job? Well, what job would live up to what you've been through? That's what I can't work out. So if you're told, look, we've got a job for you, but you sit on the phone all day and you deal with complaints or whatever it is, something way subpar to what you've experienced, the adrenaline that you get from being in. Like, how do you ever replace that? And that thing that you said you went, you know, to escape from, like, is it still there when you get back? Or that thing that you went looking for in the army, did you find it? Do you lose it now? Did you not discover it? There's so many dynamics to what happens to somebody after any period of life, let alone one where you're involved in war.
It's quite hard. I mean, I feel for a lot of guys, and there's guys I know who've left. I've got a friend now. There's a close knit group of friends I've got from the last ship I was on, and we did 9 months in Bosnia, and before I left, and we've stayed extremely good friends over these last 30 years since I've been gone, and he's just completed 39 years. Now, considering I've been left 27 years, he's still been in it. And he was in it a long time before that. Yeah. So it's quite scary, really. And he's come out and he's almost, you know, he's spiraled. And he's like, what am I going to do? And he's literally, we've had to sort of get around him and say, pull your finger out your arse. You need to get out, get yourself up. Just do anything. Be a postie, do anything. Be in a shop, do anything. You just need to get your arse out and do something, because his was about identity. Because what he did is he left, and then they offered him a job back in doing the same job as he was, but on a 1-year contract, still in uniform. I said, you've not left, mate. You've not left it. You're in it. You just get a choice whether or not you can give 18 months or leave tomorrow. So
do they shake your hand, say thank you for the service you've done, and you're on your way, we'll never see you again, take care?
It's very clinical. When I left, it was very clinical. And my mate was telling us this. Well, everybody I've spoken to is very clinical. It's literally, it depends on how you go. You almost get brushed aside. I mean, when I left, I'd gone from being frontline and decided I was going to leave. And then they said, okay, we'll stick you on a guarding a gate for 7 months. Get you the way. And the day I left, it was literally walked into the UPO, which is like your personnel office. There's your discharge papers. There's your give me your ID card. Okay, hand that in, away you go, and that's it. And it was as that.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, you are a number.
So you were Royal Navy for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it that made you decide after 8 years that I don't want any part of this anymore?
A number of things, really. I think I'd had a few relationships that had gone south because I was away. One in particular I really struggled with. I was a young man when I left. I was 24, and
when you left the Navy, so you joined when you were 16.
16, wow. I was in, straight from school, So I almost, I'd lost to who I considered at the time was the love of my life, and I went off to Bosnia, and she said, well, I can't deal with you being away. I was almost like, shit, the hell, and It was almost like, do you know what? I've had enough of this. I'd been away quite a bit. I'd spent 2.5, 3 years on a ship where I was literally out all the time. A fishery protection ship, and you patrol. You chase drug runners and gun runners. You work with the SBS, and you're basically patrolling UK waters, but you sort of reach out here and there. And I'd got fed up of being away. And it was almost like I wanted my life back. And another caveat to that was at my time in the forces, I was not the best behaved, to be honest. And I almost thought to myself, if I stay here, I'll end up being discharged, or I'll do something really stupid. And that goes back to one of the reasons why I left home in the first place.
Yeah. So was this back to square one where you were like, I'm leaving, I've got to get away from something. So you leave home environments, go into the Navy to get away from something. 8 years later, you're like, I've got to do that again. I've got to get away from something. I needed
to start fresh. Yeah, I almost needed to wipe the slate clean and re-establish who I was and re-establish my life, as it were, I think.
So hard thing to find out who you are, especially between 16 and 24.
Oh, and trust me, I was not. We talk about, I said about they build you up to the person you want to be. Don't get me wrong. When it came to doing my job, 150%.
Yeah.
It was the downtime where I became this stereotypical young sailor. Drinking, fighting, womanizing, the whole 9 yards, and I'd probably got fed up of it, to be honest.
That is quite stereotypical. Why is it that happens? Why do most guys find themselves doing that? Like, what is it? Is there anger in you that just needs to get out? Is it the way that you're living your life during the time of being in the Navy? Like, what makes you be the stereotypical guy that goes out and fights and drinks and womanizes?
I think for me, and sort of gone on what I've gone through in the last sort of 6 months or so, and sort of 5 years previous to that, it's sort of come to light more the last 6 months where I'd the reason why I escaped and the reason why I'd joined up in the first place was because of the things that had gone on in my life. It was a simple case of, for me, it was I left home, I was seeking, probably acceptance, a bit of cheerleading, I wanted to prove something, I was a bit of a grey man at school, bullied a little bit, but not bullied a lot. My home life was extremely, it was turmoil, and I joined up and came out fighting, and I promised myself I would never be bullied again. And my old man said to me, he says, "You've turned into the atypical Scotsman." I says, "Yeah." He says, you're using jock martial arts. I said, "What's that mean, Dad?" He says, "You hit them before they think about hitting you." And he was right, because it was a simple case of anybody that I felt threatened by, they'd become a target. And I'm not proud of it at all. I'm quite ashamed of it, to be honest. So
you're talking about your own teammates, even anyone around you that would cause that threat trigger. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, there's so many fights.
Yeah, but again, it's. I don't know how many times you replay these incidents in your head, because I replay a lot of the stuff that I'm not proud of. But when you're a bit older and wiser, you can see why it happened, and maybe this is a hard thing to do. You can be a little bit more forgiving of yourself for why you did what you did. Yeah. That's the hardest battle, looking back and maybe having a bit of compassion for, I did that because of this. Not as an excuse, just as maybe as a pattern of thinking. You can see why. Like, you can look back today, can't you? I mean, I don't know how old you are, Pete, but I'm 38, so I can look at a 24-year-old and I could be more forgiving of a 24-year-old in his mistakes.
Yeah, and I see that in my lad. I mean, I'm 50. I'm 51 next. Right. Well, I'm 51 in January.
And your lad is how old?
He's 19 in February.
Cool. So he's going to be making all these mistakes too, right?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. We've had our when I split up with my ex-wife, I was the worst person in the world because I'd abandoned them. All the usual stuff. And we had some proper ding dongs.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I had him against a wall and on holiday where was it? Where were we? Egypt, over a toilet roll.
But it's not over the toilet roll, is it? Never
it was about his language. It wasn't about a toilet roll.
But even that, it's very rarely about like silly little arguments like that.
No. He was just pushing my buttons, and he knew exactly what he was doing. I mean, don't get me wrong, we went through that him as a teenager. There was that, there was that angst, and I was probably tougher on him than I have been on my girls. I got a 15-year-old girl, and 2 15-year-old younger girls as well. I got a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. What am I doing? And I'm probably a lot easier on them. And I think that's a male thing where you try and encourage your lad not to be the victim. I think that's what I was trying to do by him not being weak. And I think that goes back to, again, me and my experiences.
Sure. Jeff Thompson, who helps me out with a lot of stuff, he always tells me off when I say people push my buttons. He's like, Alex, you're letting them. Yeah. You're letting them. It shows your weaknesses, it's not them.
Exactly what it is.
I know it is. Yeah. It's hard to hear because I'm like, fuck, you're right. Yeah, because he's saying someone's crawled inside of your body and they're tapping buttons. I'll hit the anger emotion. I know. Do you know what I mean? If someone knows what to do, it's they know what to do. Like, sort that out.
So I have a real thing for people with that don't have manners. That don't have manners and assume they deserve privilege simply because of who they are. I treat everybody the same. Obviously, there's differences based on various bits and bobs, but that's just that's culture and stuff. But I once got told that I was over familiar with senior officers when I was in the Navy. Well, no, I just didn't see you as a godlike. You're a normal person, same as I am. And so I have a real frustration with people like that. People that queue jump, or people that are just ignorant or arrogant or rude. And my missus you just see her go like that. Because I'll have to say something, and I've got myself into a few situations where it's almost been like I've told them they're being an idiot, and people don't like being told they're idiots.
Where can you go though in public where you're not going to be confronted with idiots?
Not very far. I think it's got worse since the pandemic, to be honest.
Yeah, if you can see it though, that's the danger. If you're on the lookout for it, you'll find it.
Yeah, and that's something I've had to...
Of course. Yeah. But this is another thing that makes me wonder about ex-military. It's like, you're going to be disciplined, you're going to be fit, you're going to be healthy, you're going to be of a different kind of breed, right? So how do you come back and then mingle with all the ill-disciplined men of the world? Like, I find that hard now, but just through years of self-development. I can only imagine it would be harder if I was taken to a newer level. If you become really strong, it's hard not to become judgmental. It's hard not to become judgmental. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying it's hard not to.
That's one of the big I know that's one of the big issues that guys that have direct kinetic action, one-on-one shooting bullies each other, is that they literally do a tour. They'll have a piece of R&R, which will be a couple of days on a beach and just get smashed for 2 days. The next thing I know, they're at home, walking around Tesco with their kids, deciding whether to get cornflakes or the Morrison's own brand cornflakes, and somebody's kicking off because they can't find a certain brand in a freezer. I know a lot of guys that have struggled with that. It's almost like they want to shake this person and say, "Do you know what the fuck I've just seen, or where I've just come from, where people are dead in the street?" And it's a difficult thing, I think, for people to understand that pressure that gets put under you as a young man or woman in those situations, because it's a scary place. It is a scary place.
Do you think being in the Navy made you a better person or not?
Definitely a better person. I think it gave me a lot of skills that I've used. It's given me some discipline. It's given me 5 of the best friends I could ever ask for. It gave me my ex-wife, which gave me my 2 older kids.
Yeah.
You know, my ex-wife, she's a good woman. Our time was just done. 20 years we were together, and we're in a good place now, and we talk regularly. I spoke to her last night, just about sort of the appointment I had with the charity and stuff. And it is what it is, and it's been good. It's a good experience, I think.
Yeah.
I think you should bring back national service personnel.
Oh, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah,
I was just thinking of that when you mentioned it. It's like, is it a good idea for an 18-year-old now to get off the computer? The challenge is the 18-year-old that's going down his own path of discipline might say, well, I don't want to do that. I can find my own way, and I don't believe that we're necessarily fighting for anything. That would be my reservation of, like, if we were to go to war and there was national service, like, what are we fighting for? Yeah. That would be my, because I'm not always sure it's the right thing.
No, and I think
we'll know.
I know, yeah. If you look at World War One and World War Two, World War One was simply over somebody getting shot, wasn't it? And it was a horrendous time, and a horrendous period in our time. Second World War, I get it, but we were a very different generation then. I think now we'd be hard pressed if it came to it to be able to instill that. You see it at remembrance services. You know, the people that are there are getting older. I've always taken my kids. I took my kids this year, and we're a very different world, because it is about what are we fighting for? Is what we're fighting for correct? We're in a situation where Ukraine at the moment, it could quite easily kick off and become a bigger conflict. Would we get the people queuing up outside recruitment offices like we did in 1940?
No, it'd be a very different war as well. I mean, do you watch war movies? Can you watch them?
I am a big war movie fan.
Have you seen the new one on Netflix, All Quiet on the Western Front?
Yes.
Brutal, right? Hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
It's people actually fighting.
Oh, yeah.
It would be a very different war, I assume, if it kicked off now.
Very differently. I mean, it's more about technology, and we used to call them long-range snipers. You get guys sitting in drones in the Nevada desert, pinging off missiles from something that hasn't got a pilot in it. But you say it's a very different war. I mean, these things, the Ukrainians and some of the action they're doing is hand-to-hand stuff. A good friend of mine, Brian Wood, he got a military cross for an operation called Danny Boy, and that was hand-to-hand in the trenches.
Yeah.
That was only sort of 15, 20 years ago.
Which is crazy. I mean, that was brutal film. It was brutal. I mean, I don't know how real it is.
It was based on a previous film. There was a film made in the 1960s of exactly the same. It's a remake of a film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, All Quiet on the Western Front.
It was fucking good.
Yeah, good film.
Good in a twisted way.
Yeah.
Part of me is there going, oh my God. Because, at the start when he's excited to join, I'm like, I'd be excited to join too, but I know I would also face his hell too. And and I'd want to be anywhere else but in war if I was there. But I think the idea of fighting for something is inside every man.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's how you manage it, and I think if you've not got a certain amount of aggression in you, there's a lot of things you cannot do. I couldn't do my job I do now without a certain amount of aggression in me. I probably couldn't go to the gym if it didn't take a certain amount of aggression, because you need that. I couldn't have done the runs I've done if I didn't have aggression in me.
Yeah, well, I did a little bit of writing yesterday about this. I feel like sometimes we're trying to take all the aggression out of men. I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Definitely not.
So combat sports, gym, martial art, anything where you can tap into that, I think is a good thing. Jordan Peterson's one of my favourite. He talks about this best. So, he says, look, the bad men in the world are weak men.
Yeah.
They're not strong men. So he said it's difficult to be a good man. You have to be strong. You have to have ability to be a good man because it's not easy. No. Now, I can resonate with that straight away. I would find it easier to not be a good man. Much easier. In fact, I dedicate every day to just trying to be a decent person. And it's so much harder than I thought. Yeah,
it's funny because I signposted a mate of mine today to Jordan Peterson to have a listen to him on his some of his podcasts and some of the things he does on Instagram. And he says some tough things, but they're all true.
Exactly. When people say he's controversial, I'm like,
I don't think he is. He's just saying things that people don't want to hear.
That's what I say. I'm like, well, tell me what's controversial. And I don't think there's a lot. Some people might find controversy in it. You're right. One of his the best traits about JP is he's honest.
Oh, yeah.
Honesty's not accepted very well these days.
No.
People are offended by the truth.
Yeah, but what does offended mean? And it's funny because...
Well, that's changed. Yeah. The landscape of that word has changed. Offended now is very different to what it used to be. Yeah. It's just a word, right? We make our own. We can be offended by anything.
It's funny because I was thinking about this morning and I was coming into this and I... as part of my sort of charity stuff I've done in the past, a good friend of mine, Danny Slay, and I, we organised a race for about nearly 10 years, and we raised money every year. It was an ultramarathon. We did, 24 hours, do as many laps as you can on a 5-mile track. And I was the sort of co-director and the compere and DJ throughout this. And we had up to and around 1,000 people were the maximum over the 10 years. We raised thousands of pounds because we didn't earn any money from it. It was just charity stuff. And from day one, I was labelled Inappropriate Pete, and that's what they called me. And it was because during the race I wouldn't be fluffy, I wouldn't there would be a filter, but it would be a filter just enough not to offend, and just enough not to be inappropriate but teetering on the edge. And to be honest, I'm probably known for that in my personal life and in my professional life. It's always sort of it's one of those sort of moments I get.
Is that you, or is that military Pete speaking? Is that you've been trained to be this way, or is that just you? You're just...
Oh, if it was military Pete, I'd have been sacked years ago.
Yeah.
Because the dark humour that comes from working in those environments. The emergency services are exactly the same. And you could even put it down to sort of factory humour. It's exactly the same. It comes from surrounding yourself by like-minded, troubled people, I would say.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That need that mortuary humour to get through things.
So whose job is it? Is it your job to work out what you can say to who, or is it their job to be okay with the fact that you're speaking your truth and it's up to them to how they...
Well, I look at it this way. If you're offended, what changes?
Often nothing. The only thing that changes is your state, yeah.
Yeah, so what are you offended for? Are you offended? So I had somebody say something, it was a comedian, said, so I've offended you. If you go to bed tonight, are you going to wake up with an incurable disease? No. Has anything changed? No.
Yeah.
So...
I know, it's crazy. It is crazy. It's spoken about like a deadly weapon these days.
It is. And don't get me wrong, you can be offensive. There is, it's quite clearly offensive remarks.
Yes.
But they tend to be towards protected characteristics, which I wholly disagree with. I mean, there's no way you should speak to somebody because of their race, their disability, or sexual orientation. There is absolutely no need for that.
Yeah.
But if you're offended because you told somebody they're crap at their job, are you offending them, or are you managing them?
What do you think?
Well, they're offended because I wouldn't say they're offended. There's a bit of realization that they've fallen short of the expectations of what you require, so they don't like it. So they say, I'm offended. Okay then, but that's about you not liking me telling you doing something wrong, or you being managed. I've come across it in my job where I have had a complaint against a complaint put against me because I was trying to manage somebody who hadn't been managed in the past, and because they were being managed, they didn't like it, so they made a complaint against me.
How long do you spend in their shoes? Do you put yourself in their shoes at any point?
Of course I do, yeah.
You do? Because sometimes I don't. Sometimes I forget to view it from the other person's point.
Yeah, no, I think,
especially if I don't stop to go, Alex, whoa.
Yeah, and I think what we need to sort of be mindful of, and this is about sort of managing. This is very different from managing a group to managing an individual. You know, to manage an individual, you need to know the individual's needs, wants, desires, expectations, what's going on in their personal life, and that can be harder. I mean, work would be great. It'd be so easy if you didn't have to deal with people. You know, but it is what it is. But I think understanding the individual is something you need to figure out first, and then set them a plan, and give them some expectations and give them some support. If you then find that they are not fulfilling those, then it becomes a won't do, not a can't do. They're two very different things.
Sure. I'm hoping the military stands by its authoritative, straight-talking way of doing things.
Yeah.
Because apparently, from what I've heard, it's starting to change too. It's becoming very PC.
Yeah.
The way things are being done is changing.
Yeah.
And I think you need people that have been in the military to say, well, actually, this is how it is. This is it's war. People, it's life and death. We can't mess about. It's not the place to mess about. It's not the place to worry about whether we're treading on toes. We've got a job to do. We've got people to protect.
The problem with the military is especially the UK military, is they don't just get involved with warfighting. And a lot of the stuff they do is humanitarian. A hell of a lot is humanitarian. You know, look at Sierra Leone, Haiti, all those sorts of places. That ability to switch, I think that's the difference between the UK military and most militaries, is that they know where the line is, and they know when to switch. They know when to be diplomatic, but then they also know when to cock a weapon and fire one off. So, you know, there's rules and regulations about engaging people, but there is always going to be a bad egg. There will always be a bad egg, no matter what happens. You can't control that. What you can do is deal with a situation.
Yeah,
that comes up.
Like any corporation, yeah. Politics is no different, right?
Yeah.
There's multiple bad eggs. Maybe more than inside the military, of course.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of the young guys that join up have come from very broken families, and they are. Excuse me, had a bit of a. they are there to be a fighting force. And we want that.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. But I think this is the danger. We try and strip all that out of a man, and it's not natural.
No.
I think we're trying to shape men to be something that is not within our nature. So listen, lads, don't be aggressive, please. Don't have this And I'm like, it's in us. And we can channel it. We can do something useful with it. We can go and learn a martial art. We can go and but we've got to do something. We can't sit at home playing computer games all day.
No. Because that's not reality.
It's not reality, and that part of us doesn't get served. There's nothing natural about sitting on your ass playing computer games all day. I'm not a fan of computer games. You might have guessed. I don't think they're a good thing. Of course, as a kid I used to like playing computer.
Same here.
But I think as a grown adult, if you're spending all your evenings playing computer games, I think there's better things to do.
No, I used to sort of like them quite a bit, and probably the last 10 years I've sort of gone off them. Yeah. I think that's. Part of that is life catching up with you, and I'm always busy, and I've got kids and stuff like that. My lad was very much into it, but even he's stepping away from it. I think I poisoned him by riding a motorbike. He now rides a motorbike everywhere. So,
usually that's what happens when you're young. You love computer games. Like I used to play the football games with my mates all the time. But usually, as you get older, you spend less time on the computer than what you do when you're younger. I don't know. I think that might be changing now. Whereas some guys growing up watching more TV and playing more computer games. Now that they're getting older, perhaps because they feel like there's nothing better to do. I'm not sure. I think if you don't have a goal or a purpose, I can see why you would end up doing that with your spare time if there's nothing better to do.
Again, going back to Mr. Peterson, he talks about how men are perceived and how we need to give men a purpose. I think for a lot of men, and Alan has said this as well. He says the people we need to worry about is the single man at home playing computer games, because their whole life and their social surroundings are not a reality. They're not mixed with people, and they become the dangerous people because when it does come to social interaction, they don't know what to do. And there's so many expectations on men, particularly from females, I think, of them to be a certain way.
Of course, man. Look, let's face it. Like, we can bullshit all day. Who's a woman going to pick? Mr. Successful with status, or the guy playing computer games?
Exactly.
We can't move away from that. No. It's a status game, which saddens me, but it's also a reality.
Yeah,
it's also a reality. So I think it's hard for men. Like, I know I've got the Better Man podcast, and by the way, nothing I do is about like it's all for men. It's none of that. It's trying to create stronger men. However, I do feel sometimes like men are they're judged purely on their success.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, whether this be in the business world or the material world. And if you don't hit a certain standard, you could easily be brushed to the side. And you could be a great person, great man, strong man with integrity, but you might live in a 2 up, 2 down, drive a shitty car, and you're perceived non-successful, and you're out of the race for the top woman.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a friend who is, he's in his early 60s. He is as fit as a butcher's dog. I mean, he is proper fit. Nicest chap I've ever met in my life. Doesn't live in a big fancy house. Does a job he's been doing for many, many years. Yet, I would take him over any successful guy I've ever met.
Sure.
Because he's got integrity. He is who he is. He's got no agenda. He accepts who he is. He doesn't pretend to be anybody else. And he's just a genuine guy. And I think we have so many, as men, we wear so many masks just to try and either, one-upmanship somebody or look good in front of people. Just be who you are, and people accept. It's funny because a lot of females, they probably don't want all that. They just want a good man.
Well, that's another argument of like, well, status can mean different things to different people. So, like you say, status might mean he's so confident in himself. He hasn't got the car, he hasn't got the, but he's so. Yeah. That's the status I'm after. Yeah. So in his world, in his surroundings, he's the man. He might not have all the flashy bits.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a hard thing for a guy like myself, maybe your son. Like, do you teach that individual to achieve status, or do you encourage him just to work on the inner game and forget the outside world, forget all that? Or no, son, you go and reach the fucking top. Reach the top. Get everything you can. Go and do everything you can. Stretch yourself, push yourself, climb that ladder. It's hard.
Yeah, and it is. And I've always encouraged my kids to just be happy in what they do. And whatever they decide is what they decide. Don't get me wrong. I will say, if I believe that they need to do some more, I will tell them. But I won't push them to a point where I end up pushing them away. And I think it's quite important. You have all these books about how to be a parent. It's all crap. Parenting's the hardest thing in the world.
I'm sure I'm going to shut the fuck up here because I know nothing about parenting. I don't envy anyone who's got that difficult task. I was sat there, again, doing a bit of reflection on this podcast, thinking, I wonder what's harder, war, relationships, or being a parent?
I'll be a parent, 100%.
Do you reckon, right? Well, you've done all three, right?
Yeah. So it's as they grow up, when they get younger, it's hard. As they get older, it doesn't get easier. It's just varying degrees of difficulty.
Sure.
And I'm in that position now, which I never expected I'd be. My partner's 13 years my junior, so we've got young kids. I never expected 10 years ago that I would have 2 young kids under the age of 10 again.
Yeah, how's that feel, man? Because I'm heading that way.
Yeah.
I'm 38 with no kids, so
right.
I haven't got a partner at the minute. So if I do, it's likely that I'll have, if I do have children, it will be into my 40s.
Yeah.
Which is already kind of freaking me out because it weren't in the plan. This weren't in the plan. I was supposed to have kids when I was 35, tops.
But what's your plan? And that's the thing. It's
that plan that we're taught. When you're a little kid.
Yeah. Go out,
Yeah, you go out, you get your job, you meet your wife, you get married, you have 2 kids, and that's your life done, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because I had a good conversation with when I first met Alan. I met Alan back in 2006, 2007 initially. I was at the warehouse fire where 4 firefighters died. I was on the urban search and rescue team. We did the body recovery for that over a 5-day period, and we came back from that, and Alan gave us counselling, one-to-one counselling after that, sort of post-instant diffusing, if you like. And he sort of jumped forward 10 years. I went through some stuff when my mother died, and he sat me down, and we were talking about, you know, the evolution of man and stuff. And he was talking about this, you becoming a middle-aged man. I was like, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I don't know where my arse from my elbow. And he explained it to me. He says, we are not meant to be this age. He says, evolutionary, you know, 20, 30 years ago, you were born, you went to school, you went in the factory, you met a wife, you had children, you died. That was it. And that's how he explained it to me. He says, what we're doing now, we're doing all that, and then we're living and going, right, this is so, you know, midlife crisis is a thing. He said, because we get to this age and we almost go, that's it, what now?
Yeah.
So take it back to the sort of initial question you said, how does it feel? Do you know what? It's the best thing in the world. Having kids again this age is friggin' hard work. Don't get me wrong, there's some days I lie in that bed and go, I am knackered. And I just want that kid to stop crying. Or just like put my pillow over my head and just say, but there's been nothing more rewarding in my life than having my girls. And it's almost given me a new lease of life, to be honest.
Well, they say, like, the things that are the most challenging are the most rewarding. So this is the message to guys, like, chase what is difficult, not what is easy, because there's more reward from the difficult path than the easy path.
Oh, definitely,
yeah. Again, it's plainly obvious, but it's also a difficult thing to do. Like, we always think we want easy and a comfortable life, especially when you're tired or you run down. All you want is comfort. It's all you want. You want to get away from things. I use that phrase a lot, get away from things, when actually sometimes what I need is more responsibility, more things to care about, more reasons to get out of bed, more challenges, more obstacles, more difficult path. And I've found myself in that place lately. I'm like, my life's too easy. I'm in Starbucks most of the time. You know,
Starbucks, I'm a Costa man.
Well, yeah, I'm there too, mate. I literally, I'm in Starbucks. I've got reading, and it's not like I'm just chilling, but it's not labour. So I've gone back to BJJ. You know, getting strangled. I've never been happier.
And it's funny because it's almost like you have your safe place, isn't it? Where you know that you're gonna have. Mine is walking and running. You know, that's my go-to, or my music. I love my music. And it's not to say I'm not getting the crap beaten out of me, but try looking after a 2-year-old.
I can imagine.
It's a challenge in itself. I think as men we need that.
We definitely need it, and we need to remind ourselves that we need it.
Yeah.
Because when you're in it, it's hard and it feels like it's the thing that you don't want, but it's the only thing that grows you.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that grows you. You take that away, and what do you get? You get the guy playing computer games because he doesn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Same. It's me watching Netflix. I'm just like, well, why not?
Yeah. See, I'm never going to be one of these guys who you know, I mean, I can retire from the fire service next year. Whether I'm going to go or not, I don't know. But I can leave with my pension. I can either do one or two things. I can get another job. I can work part time, or I can just be a stay-at-home dad. You know, I'm lucky enough to have that option. But I'd never be one of these guys that just walks around a golf course.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
How's the thought of a stay-at-home dad feel?
All right, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, this last 6 months I've been off. I know I've been off ill, but it's, you know, I've got stuff done. I say I've got stuff done. I've probably not got the stuff that my missus wants me to do.
Well, that list will never end, bro.
Oh, I never, mate. It's like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
So, I could do it. I could do it.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing thing. I mean, what better job? I don't understand this whole, especially like in the female world now. Most women seem to be pushed towards career and power now. Like, get even with the men. I'm like, we're fighting the wrong battle here. We're fighting the wrong. What happened to? I tell you what. Let's make our priority raising a good family, good people, good humans. I mean, there's not many things more. And I know we go back to values and say, well, some people don't value the family stuff. I get it. There's not many better things you can do with your own life than to raise good human beings.
No, there isn't. And
surely.
That's
and I don't have kids, and I fucking know that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. And I think part of that, you know, wanting to be a stay-at-home dad and loving the whole fact that you can do it probably comes back to when I was younger. When, you know, the issues I had when I was younger, and where my childhood wasn't what I seen other people having. So almost I've questioned. I mean, that's what I've struggled in the last sort of few weeks actually after my treatment. Is that stuff I'd forgotten for 5 years has all come flooding back. I'm now dealing with the fallout of that. So it's almost sort of, it's been a bit of a awakening. I'm more encouraged by my thoughts of staying home with the kids. I think the best thing that this country's ever done is given men the opportunity to have 3 months off.
Yeah.
I was one of the first people at work that did that. And I had 3 months off with my middle girl. Took part of my partner's maternity leave, and I spent 3 months stay-at-home dad with my 6-month-old kid. I grew a beard. First time I was able to do that. And,
I'm still trying, mate. I'm still look at this. This is my
pathetic attempt.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it?
Oh, brilliant.
I know.
And I did it with my youngest as well, and it was the best thing because I got to grow that bond with them, of which, if I was doing my normal shifts and going out, I wouldn't have got that.
Yeah.
And it was good for the missus to get back to work as well. It was almost sort of, and there's no better thing than walking around Asda and women cooing over your baby.
Yes. Well, there's that and a puppy, which I thought I'd get a puppy. That's a chick magnet.
Yeah, that's chick magnet. Yeah.
Women
if
like
that's your want, there is other avenues for you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yep.
But I think that rightly so as well. I think the old-fashioned tradition of like men go literally straight back to work, right? I don't think it was a day. Was that? I mean, you might get a day off.
3 days. I think
3
days.
days.
Yeah.
It's kind of saying that the role of the dad isn't. I believe it's just as important as the mom, right? It's a good 50-50.
I think it needs to be.
I think if you look at all statistics of violent crime, of people in prison, the majority have single upbringings.
Yeah, I was reading a thing about it the other day there, but there was the statistics from Stop and Search stuff in it, the Met Police, but it gave what the true figures were.
Yeah.
About the proportion of single household kids that had got in trouble, of which didn't have fathers.
Exactly, but what it sounds like is an attack on mums, and it's not. It's stating the truth that, do you know what, kids with a mum and dad usually go on to do probably or don't get in as much bother as people that are brought up in single parent
stable home life,
which makes total sense.
Yeah, you know, if you listen to some of the guys who do, you know, some of the ex-military guys, a lot of them have come from those sorts of families. Wow. But then you get the flip side, you know, Mr. Fox, he had a great upbringing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As he says, it was perfect middle class family.
Yeah. Yeah, and it happens. But like you say, with statistics, and I'm never really sure how true they are, of course. Depends where you source them from. But yeah, we're told that, you know, if you get a mum and dad that bring up a kid, the kid's going to have a better life than if he's brought up by a single parent. Makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't even have to be, I don't think, you know, in this sort of diverse world, it doesn't even have to be a mum and dad. It can just be two individuals that have different views that are able to give somebody a stable life. Yes,
I think that's true as long as there's some form of masculinity teaching in there. So again, forget men and women, I'm talking feminine and masculine traits here. We need both inside. So, you know, if I'm just brought up by dad and dad's like tough as boots, maybe I don't get the, you know, the emotional teaching and the care and that I need. And again, of course the dad can provide that, but people run away and make assumptions here. But what I'm saying is, usually mum teaches you one thing and dad usually teaches you another strength. Brilliant. I get two teachers instead of one. That's how I see it. I get the best of both worlds. Yeah. But then you need two functioning parents and people. Yeah. Which again is, you know, it's a lottery now.
There's a good analogy about this, about the way a father and a mother bring their kids up. So if you've got a mother and father stood at the edge of a pool, you'll have the mother will be there, encourage them. Just dive in, and dad will just do that, shove them in. Do you know what I mean? That tough love sort of, just get it done.
Yeah.
And there's that sort of, that's the difference between. I mean, you see the memes and stuff, don't you, with the dad throwing a kid up in the air and all that sort of stuff. And that's exactly how it is in our household. And it was when I was with my ex-wife. It was almost sort of, she was the sort of warm and fluffy one. And I'm always sort of the rough and tumble, pulling the teeth out of a pair of pliers, pulling the splinters out. That sounds terrible, pulling your kids' teeth out with pliers, but I have done it. Not ones that have fallen out, I must say. Yeah, that doesn't look right. Yeah. But yeah, it does. You fall into that natural job role, don't you, when you're in that environment?
So. And I don't think that should be discouraged, because the way I would see that then is your children hopefully will have, their toolkit will be full of times when they need that empathy and compassion. But there'll be times when life, by the way, you can't get through life without having to tap into resilience.
Oh no.
If you haven't got resilience, you're finished.
Oh, definitely.
You need that. And you can be taught it. I don't care what anyone... Yeah, exactly. The military is a great example.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
Teaches
Fire
you.
service are very much like that as well.
So, do you mind me asking about the therapy that you're undergoing? What form of therapy is it?
So, so I've had CBT. Alan Dovey did my CBT many years ago. Great. That's for a sort of, it's sort of a single event sort of thing.
Okay.
I was diagnosed with complex PTSD back in June. You probably had a PTSD and complex PTSD. PTSD tends to be a single event that causes a number of physical reactions. Complex PTSD can be one of, it is an event that happens time and time again. That is usually people that have been abused, or an abusive environment, that sort of thing. Or it can be a number of events over a period of years. For me, that's what that was.
So typical of a guy in the military and fire service, right?
Yeah, well, but funnily enough, a lot of it, stuff I'm dealing with now is the fallout from my childhood. My mother was a chronic alcoholic. Wasn't the easiest environment to be in. Yeah. There's no cheerleading going on. It was all sort of, everything was my fault. I know this is going to be difficult for my father to hear, because he will probably listen to this, and my folks. But this is something that's it's a journey that I've had to go on that has been extremely difficult. So the second part of it was so EMDR, eye movement desensitization, reinitiation. Got that right? Yeah, reinitiation. And what that basically is when you sleep, you have a sleep pattern. Part of that is REM, rapid eye movement.
Sure.
So REM is, and I'm just saying this parrot fashion as I was taught. REM is the point at which you sleep, that you file away memories, and that's what it does. So that 2 hours that you have REM is where the mind is processing stuff. EMDR stimulates the same brain function you get during REM by either things like doing this in front of the eyes. Mine was tapping like this at different rates. And that's basically what I've had, and from the incident in Athos on Stour, that that troubled me for a long time, and then the sort of I've been in the job 25 years. My job, I'm a sort of I go out in my car. I got blue lights in my car. I go to bigger jobs, people that have unfortunately died, suicides, whether that be chemical, hanging, all the other stuff. Road traffic accidents, accumulation of tragic incidents. In May, I had 5 fatalities in a very short period of time, 2 weeks, all of which were quite traumatic. And the last one was a young chap who'd committed suicide, which really sort of knocked me sideways. So I sort of asked for help, and I went to Alan. Alan obviously seen me before, I know him before, and he said, right, you're going off. So I went to go get help elsewhere, and I went to the NHS. And this is something about being a veteran. When I initially spoke to the NHS, they said, we'll do an assessment on you. They assessed me, diagnosed with complex PTSD, and okay, we'll give you treatment. It'll be 6 months. And at this point, I was fucking spiraling. I mean, I was not in a good place. And I just mentioned off the top of my head, I said, well, do you still have the covenant? So the Armed Forces covenant. She says, oh yeah, we do actually. Well, let me get back to you. 10 minutes later, she came back to me and says, right, can you start next week?
Tell me more about that.
So the Armed Forces covenant is that we will have, and this has happened to me twice now. So, so the Armed Forces covenant is that if you're a veteran, you will jump to the front of the queue for any treatment by the NHS.
Yeah.
This happened to me. I was doing a London Marathon. I slipped on a plastic bottle 6 miles in, ripped my meniscal cartilage, and like a twat went, I'm going to finish this race, and ran 20 miles on a torn meniscus cartilage.
Love it.
I wasn't going to let it beat me. What an idiot. And I'd only done about 4 weeks training for it as well.
Yeah, you've been training your whole life for that.
I was just what an idiot, man. I got over the line, couldn't walk.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So the EMDR, basically, I had 12 sessions, and you could do your first, your worst, and your last. That's how they do it. And through it, what they do is they drop you in, you talk about something, and then they drop it back out, and then you start to get panic. And I was quite cynical at the start. I thought, EMDR, it's a load of hocus pocus. You're going to sit there, I'm going to tap, and I'm going to bring it all out. What a revelation. What an absolute revelation. I'd come away from the sessions, and there'd be points of the sessions I would be in absolute tears, shaking, uncontrollable, lying on the floor, shaking. It almost brought it all out. And you have a scale, how you're feeling. And then you come out, you do your tapping, and then she asks you where you are, down to basically 1 or 2. So how do you feel? And then you go for a reassessment the next session to see how you are. And it's a process of putting away those files that the RAM hasn't been able to do.
Right.
Because mental health is simply if you have a glass and you get all the shit going in. And then, so childhood stuff will be about there. All the stuff that happens day to day, like your finances, marriage, relationships, all the other stuff. And then you get stuff that goes in. Eventually, that'll fill up and it just overflows.
It's like layers as well from what I'm hearing. It's like we layer things on top. So the childhood, and then you've got all the stuff on top of that. Right, yeah. I never thought about the hanging situation. Who deals with that? Is it the fire brigade then? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and funny, say funny enough, it's not funny at all. But ironically enough, I've never been to a female suicide.
Yeah. Well, they're less. Well,
I've been to one, but that was a chemical.
Well, don't they say that men kill themselves more violently too? So women, it's traditionally overdose. Yeah. Men will beat themselves around the fucking head, hang themselves, do all sorts of torturous things.
Yeah, and the psychology behind why people do it is very, very different as well. I mean, you'll get somebody that plans something for a very long time. They'll leave a note for the emergency services saying, "Don't come in. I've done this, and this. I've used this chemical," or, and then you get somebody. I went to a 14-year-old many years ago, who'd gone into a hardware store, bought a tow rope, threw it over a canal bridge, jumped off. I mean, and that's somebody who he wasn't asking for help. It wasn't a cry for help. He hadn't planned it. It was a spur of the moment. I just want to end it. And that's a scary thing, I think, with that situation I found myself in 6 months ago, is that I knew I wasn't in a good place, and at points during that, I seriously considered, why am I here? Because unless you've experienced that sense of worthlessness and being a burden on everybody, and not understanding why you feel the way you feel. I mean, I had some triggers. I was in Greg's with my missus, and I had a full-on panic attack. Didn't understand what it was. Started shaking, heavy breathing. Went outside. What the hell was that? Went back in. She says, "You okay?" Yes. Fuck knows what that was. Had me Greg's. Went to walk out, and I heard a noise, and it was the ovens. Beep beep beep. and it's the exact same sound as my pager going off.
Right.
That's what triggered me.
I'm so ignorant sometimes, because you see the fire brigade at work and you think they put out fires. You forget that they cut people out of traffic accidents and deal with suicides, and they see that on a common. It's probably a normal month, week.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a specialist team for 9 years at urban search and rescue team, like technical rescue sort of thing. I mean, we did water rescue, rope rescue, collapsed buildings, serious RTCs, suicides, bariatric pain. You know, the anything abnormal in comparison to just putting out a fire or a normal RTC. We bring the heavy gear or the specialist gear, and those guys are exposed to stuff daily.
Yeah.
Daily. And then I know some very troubled individuals in those teams.
I think the most worrying thing is that it becomes normal that they see those things.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. Is a suicide then, like, if you find someone who's hung themselves, then, is it instantly a suicide, or is there...
No, it's usually called on by police. And that'll be because they can't either access it, or they're in a precarious position.
So how do you prove someone's killed themselves? This is what bothers me about the stats. I'm like, are they lower than we think? Like, are they much higher than we think? Yeah. Or we're told lower numbers?
Well, the police will always investigate it, and what we tend to do is, if say for instance it's a hanging or somewhere, they'll bring it down and they'll check the knot to see if the knot's been tied in a certain way.
Right.
You know, and you can see from those positions. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's one's always going to slip through, but people that tend to commit suicide. There's a methodology behind it. There's a big book that's I did a course many years ago, about 2-3 week long, in Wales, and it's it's called Missing Persons book, Missing Persons course, and this book has gone over statistics in North America for the last 25 years, and it looks into the sort of, you've got a wheel. You say, okay, this person is this age. Chances are they've gone this way. This person of this age got medication. They've got a history of mental health. They are going to be within this wheel, and we're going to search this path. And it's about searching.
Yeah.
So we know the patterns of what people do.
Sure.
But when it comes to that sort of the criminal stroke, evidential aspect, that's clearly the police's job.
Yeah, and I'm not thinking a conspiracy type thing of like, oh, it's murder. I'm more thinking, does it have to be 100% proved to be suicide to be counted as a suicide? Yeah. So did the person just not know that, did they take X amount of pills as a cry for help? But how do you determine whether something's a full on suicide? Because I know someone who's committed or who's experienced their son-in-law committing suicide, and I know there was a lot of work behind the scenes to tick the box of suicide. It's they had to be 100% certain, is what I'm saying. It couldn't have been an accident. It couldn't have been any other situation.
Yeah, and some of it's quite obvious, I think. Yeah. I mean, if I had a friend I was in the Navy with. We found out he committed suicide, and then we found out how he did it, and it was almost like, well, nobody else could have done it except him. It was the old sort of barbecue and taped his windows up.
Wow. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that you kind of understand why the men do it in a more violent manner. Why is that?
So I've not really seen many men that take pills. That tends to be a female way of doing things, I believe. I think with men, a lot of the stuff that men do is spur of the moment, and the spur of the moment is going to be violent. There isn't very many men that commit suicide plan it. So
you think it could be all built up, and all, just can't take it anymore?
I think most men that do it they do it because they blame themselves, or they're doing it because something's happened that they don't want to be there. They feel like they should be punished. I mean, the last chap I went to was very methodical. He went a long way to do what he wanted to do. He'd researched it 110%, and did it in such a way that other people weren't going to be affected by his actions, i.e. the emergency services, because that can happen quite sometimes.
Sure.
And it was almost like, I need to do this. I'm really sorry you've got to deal with it, but I'm done. And it was very much like, it was a very peaceful scene. But that in itself was disturbing, because he had spent a lot of time doing that. It's quite sad, really.
It's very sad. It's very sad. It's a fucked up world, man, but I kind of get it. It's a weird thing to say, but I kind of understand it. It's a tough world. It's tough living inside yourself if you don't like
who you are. It's very hard. I mean, I've sort of, for the last 6 months, it's been it has been extremely hard. I mean, I'd go days where I couldn't sleep at night, and then I'd go downstairs and sleep on the sofa all day.
Did that last night.
Did you?
2:30,
Yeah.
Terrible, yeah.
I think as well, you get yourself into a situation where you don't know what you're going to do. You don't know where you're going to be. You can't see any light in the tunnel. You feel like you're a burden on people. I felt like a burden. One of the issues I've got at the moment is fear about going back to work and actually being a burden. Because in my head, I've just been a waste of time. And it's don't get me wrong, I'm in a 500% better than I was, and that's thanks to people like Alan. And work have been fantastic. They really have been great. I think you've almost got to go through that pain to come out the other side of it, and I think I had to get to my lowest. And I'm so grateful for my wife Rachel. She saved me on a number of occasions. She saved me sort of 7 years ago, and she saved me this time, because just the way she's been. We talk about that softly in a relationship. There's nothing soft about her. She's hard as nails.
Well, and I never know what the right approach to helping someone who's feeling down, depressed is. Sometimes tough love can save you. Yeah. Sometimes being held, empathy.
I think it's a mix of both. I don't think you can do anything wrong by somebody. You know, my ex-Navy mates, you know, have been just, put your fucking socks up, you idiot, or, you know.
I hate to say it, but it's works best for me too. I mean, that's simplifying things. But if I go BJJ and train, I'm better than if I don't. So I don't know whether that's depression. I don't even like to label things. I don't like to label things, because I still don't know if we believe truly what depression really is. I don't know, because you can tick the box. Because I think Alan went through it with me. You know, traditionally, you know, if you off your foot, you're not asleep. There's a things that you tick, but there's good examples where I've seen men in those situations, and then their girlfriend will call them and say, "I want to get back together," and they're healed. And this is not just like a couple of weeks. This is they've been down in the pits and on the floor for months and months and months, or something in their life happens, and suddenly it's a miracle. And I've experienced this. I can be down. I think I'm depressed here. I'm fucked. I don't know what to do. And then something might come along, and all of a sudden, I'm all right again. And I'm like, I couldn't have been depressed. This must have been a state that I'm in.
But if you ask Alan thinks depression is the normal state.
Yes, I know.
You know, the good times are the good times.
Yeah, but we're always searching, aren't we, for
of course, the next mountain to climb.
I'm reading a book at the minute. It's called Dark Night of the Soul. It says the same thing. It says the same thing, that this is life.
Life's hard.
Exactly. And it's not victim. It's just saying life is hard. If you fight that reality, you're going to be in a pain of depression, because you're trying to get out of the troublesome parts of life.
As you know, as a society and as humans, we are not within that 0.1% of people that don't have to worry about anything. You know, we've still got lives. We've still got to put the bins out. Still got to pick up cat shit. Still got to, you know, wipe the baby's arse. Still got to hoover the house. You know, we are not. Majority of people are not in that position where they don't have to worry about stuff like that. But my question to them that do that is, are they happy? Or are they just coasting? What's their purpose? I know what my purpose is. What's their purpose?
Yeah, and I think asking that is a great question, dependent on where you are at the time.
Yeah.
Alan taught me this very well. He's like, don't analyse your life when you're in the pits.
Yeah.
Because there is no purpose. Yeah. And I always worry about myself when I'm nihilistic. And because you will never win an argument with a nihilist, because there is, the answer is always, well, there's no point. There's no point. There's no point. Because we're going to die. We know how this is going to end. And fuck me, that's a horrible, dark, cynical place to be. when you can create an exciting goal in your head, but then it leads to, but there's no point.
Yeah. I had the interesting thing, you spoke to a chap, I think it was on a last podcast, he's helping young kids.
Oh, yeah, Rich,
yeah,
he's a good guy, yeah.
Yeah, I was interested in what he said about what is it you want to see on your deathbed?
Yes.
You know, $1 million in your bank, or 1 million people around you you've helped.
Sure.
And I think that's the one you want, is that helping people. I have a very much I've got a very empathetic way about me. Even we're stood in here, the chap dropped his cable and just left it on the floor. I couldn't see it sitting there, so I went over and picked it up and helped him. I've got this thing in saying where a little bit of kindness goes a long way, and if I give a little bit of kindness every day, then that gives me that warm and fluffy feeling. Yeah. It could be anything: holding the door open, buying somebody a coffee, picking something up, letting somebody take my parking space. You know, little things like that. I think if you can impact on other people simply by your kind actions.
And I agree totally. In fact, I'm happiest when I'm physically training and being a nice person. Where I get a little bit lost is, why do I not live my life like that every single day? Why do I get distracted and taken off path?
Because it's fucking hard work.
It is, but when we're speaking about it like this, it's kind of not, because we're saying, look, you know, these are the things that are good in life. You be kind to the people around you, you do nice things, you know. And for me, training is huge. It's my therapy. Just do those things. Maybe that's an unrealistic approach to life, because life comes with bills, it comes with stresses, it comes with traumas, it comes with losing people that you love. So perhaps throw them into the mix and you can see why.
See, I've never understood these TikTokers and stuff like that go out and video themselves giving cash to people, or
we know why that is.
Well, yeah, it's just clickbait, and it's just and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And I think, why are you doing? You know, would you do that normally, or are you just doing it for?
No, of course it would.
Likes?
No.
It's absolute bollocks.
No, the best charity, and this is really hard to do, is anonymous. So I've done a lot of fundraising in my time, and it's strange. So I'm talking about anonymous, and I'm going to tell you what it is now. But like you say, just the whole being at Starbucks saying, "Here's £5. Can you buy someone a coffee? Don't tell them it's me." Just anything like that. And one of my clients, in fact, I can tell about his anonymous work, because he's only told me. He is buying like a Tesco voucher, and he'll give it to one of the girls at the till and say, if whoever you feel needs this at Christmas, buy their Christmas dinner. You know, just some, and he'll do that, and he'll leave the store. He won't hang around to see who it is. He won't take the credit. He won't be there, tapping himself on the back, just gone. And fuck me, I thought that's powerful. That's brilliant, isn't it? That
it is.
For me, it does it.
It is.
It does it for me. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. Actually, I've never been a one for shouting about. You know, I've done this, I've done that, charity this, charity that. You know, it's the I can't remember. It was at Fast Show. The charity beat. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, them two. And it's never been like that. And I raised a fair bit of cash. I did a big race, and I got back, and I had a one-to-one with my boss. And he says, "So how's things?" I says, "Yeah, right." He says, "How you doing after your race?" "Yeah, I'm fine." He said, "I'm going to I want to put you in for an award." I was like, "What for?" He says, "For raising all this money, what you did was hard." I don't want it. He says, "Just, you're having it." I went, "You're going to force an award on me?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "But I don't want it." He says, "Look, just take it as something that the organisation wants to give you." I said, "All right." He says, "Right, here's the form. Write your nomination." And I went, "What?" I had to write my own nomination for an award. Yeah. And then on the night, look at me. It was nice. I got a nice award. And, my missus was there. And everybody stood up and gave it a clap, blah, 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 blah. But I didn't like it.
It's not why most of us do it. No. I mean, part of me kind of like maybe bullshitting if I said I didn't like a tiny bit of the addicts are a nice guy. I do. So, but I'm okay with that. Like if I get 10% of that and the charity gets 90% of the goodness, I'm down for that. But it certainly makes my life better when I stop concentrating on how shit I feel and doing something good for others. It's the only thing that makes me feel not so shit. Yeah, definitely. I kind of know that now, and it's like it's just having the energy and taking care of yourself enough to have the energy to help other people.
Yeah, because it goes on to that sort of managing people. You don't know what, I mean, if you look outside the studio now, you don't know what these people are going through. I mean, some of these, you could probably talk to some of these people and their life's an absolute nightmare.
I know, you look around, there's 10, 12 people sat out there. Yeah, it's so easy for us to forget that they've all got a story, they've all been through something today. So if someone's rude to me, I take it personally sometimes. I'm like, fucking, they're rude, aren't they? But I always forget to think, well, maybe someone's fucking died.
I had somebody said something. I helped. I was walking across the road a couple of weeks ago, and there was an old lady. She was struggling. She had a little dog in one of these daft trolley things, and the cars won't let her pass. So I just grabbed her and says, "Come on!" And I stopped the traffic. I was using my power as a fire officer to stop traffic. I wasn't in uniform. Just miss I wasn't in uniform. And I got her across the road. And I got back to the thing. My mate said, "What do you do that for?" I says, "Well, because she was struggling to get across the road." She says, "Well, she ain't going to thank you for it, is she?" I went, "It doesn't matter.
I'm not doing it for that reason." No.
Yeah. He says, "Well," he says, "I used to do that." He says, "But I don't get any thanks."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, if you're doing it for thanks, mate, you're doing it for the wrong reasons."
Absolutely, man. And there's a lesson in that for us all, isn't there? Yeah. I've learned this. Everything comes back to the inner self. Everything that you do, should be because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. Not because you want someone to give you something back in return. That's a painful way to live your life. Yeah,
and all I ever want is for my children to see me as a good man, and that's.
What's a good man then?
What's a good man?
Yeah.
Well, that's a question.
It's an important one, right?
It is. Yeah. What's a good man?
Because I guess if we want to become a good man, we need to somehow define it slightly. Otherwise, we might be guilty of setting a standard that we'll never hit. Because you might be a good man right now, right?
Yeah, you could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But why should you? Yeah, but you should never strive for mediocrity. You should always strive for that. Yeah.
So what is that good that we're striving for? What's the good man target for us?
I think if we're talking from a good man from a social perspective, I think it's somebody that cares about the people around them, somebody that supports the people around them, somebody that's not judgmental, but also somebody that's prepared to fight for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And not for their own personal gain. If you're talking about for yourself, I think it's a bit of inner peace, really. Just being happy who you are, but always striving for more. Definitely over the last 10 years, I've had a realisation that the stuff I've done in the past has probably had an effect on people. The way I treated girlfriends, particularly. The punch ups I've had, the people that's affected, and almost like a striving for that. I'm sorry, I'm doing better.
You know what, Peter? I was reading this book this morning, and it was all about if bad things have happened to you. And I've read a lot of books about this, and I thought, I don't think I've ever read a book for the man who's done the bad things, because I want to read that book.
Yeah.
I want to read that because I'm like you. I'm guilty in relationships, just being a very horrible person, and I'm like, I want to read that book that helps that person improve himself or move on. It's not what's been done to me; it's what I've done to others.
Yeah, and I think one of my biggest struggles when I split up from my ex-wife was the impact on her, and the impact on my children. And also the impact on her family, to be honest, because I lost all contact with them. Two of them in particular, I devastated by it. My two nephews, absolutely devastated by it. They won't talk to me. Were you just acting out of character then? Was it just an all emotional driven behaviour? I'd had enough of being a stranger in my own house, and I think it had got to the point where I knew I was in a bad place, and I just needed out. And somebody explained it to me that I'd been talking to this person about leaving. And I said, I can't do it. The kids are too young. And they said, look, if you're waiting for the right time, it's never going to be the right time. The time to do it is when you're at your lowest. And I was at my lowest, and I was at my lowest then. But it just needed to end, and walking away was just walking out of that house with all my stuff in the car, and the kids there, because they were still 8 and 12.
Yeah.
But I knew it was going to be all right.
That's what this book says. It's like when you look back now, the lowest part of your life, there is a gift in there. It's just you never see it at the time.
Yeah.
But there is something to come from our lowest points. And if a tiny part of us can remember that, we're going to experience this because it's life.
Yeah.
And we're human. And we make mistakes and we bring some of this shit upon us. But it is life. I'm not saying it makes it easy, but it might justify some of the suffering that you feel at that point.
Yeah, and the thing is, you need some of the actions you do, in particular, breakups and stuff like that. So there's always going to be a victim.
Yeah, and it's emotionally driven. Well, in my experience, it is anyway. And I'm a different man when I'm emotionally driven. I'm fucking horrible. Yeah, because I'm angry and pissed off, and I'm hurt.
Well, you go in that fight or flight, don't you?
And I fight.
I
fight, and I don't think about think about the damage I'm doing. In fact, I want to hurt that person because I'm fighting. That's what a fight is. I want to hurt you. Yeah. And obviously, if it's a woman, you don't do it with your fists. You do it with your mouth. You talk. You say things. You say cutting things.
Oh, sense of vile things.
Of course, because it's the best form of attack at that point. It's how you can hurt a woman without fucking putting your hands on her. Yeah, you can say cutting things.
Oh, I've said some awful things. I mean, I'm not. Yeah. Some things. Thankfully, I've got a great relationship with her now, and all I want is the best for her because she's a good woman. It's just that apology is never enough, and it's my missus sometimes says you're being a bit soft or whatever. I said, well, I'm not. There's still that relationship. She's still the mother of my kids, and it's just getting on with it. And to be honest, I'm glad we've managed to keep that relationship because the kids have come out of it good,
of course,
and they've been fine.
Forgiveness is never a bad thing because again, if you forgive somebody or they forgive you, it's never about you. So if I forgive somebody that's hurt me, it's more to free myself. If I'm bitter and angry at somebody, I'm bitter and angry, regardless of what's happened externally. If I'm bitter and angry at them, that's how I am inside. So the forgiveness is not for them. I don't think we have that power to forgive people and say, it's fine. But I think it's healthier for us to do that and be at because I don't think you can get peace in yourself if you're angry. Well, you can't. If you're angry and bitter, you ain't going to be peaceful.
No, it just eats away at you.
Of course it does. Yeah.
Alan said to me actually, I last seen him last week, I think it was, and he said at that fight or flight, he said you've been fighting for 35 years, and that's about true, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm only now starting to calm down.
I get it, man. I get it.
Mad, really.
Some men are fighters, some men are warriors, and we might not place that fighting energy in the right place. But we sometimes sit back and why am I so tired all the time? Why do I feel older than what I am? It's probably we've spent every day fighting something.
Some days you just feel shattered, don't you? Because you've just tried. And I think we draw on. You have to draw on energies that you haven't got naturally. Sure. And you do that in the workplace. If you're not a critical thinker, or you're not innovative, or you're not into detail, to be able to have those traits, you have to work harder at them. Yeah. And as a man, I think if you're not naturally a calm person, on the inside you're in turmoil, it's going to be draining. Yeah. It's that mask. Yeah. That mask that men wear.
Well, you kind of have to function in the world. Like, let's face it. Like, we can sit here all day and say, men should take that mask off, and I'm like, well, hold on, you've got a job to hold down, right? Like, you've got to put your job mask on. Like, it's so hard to get that balance between, this is how I really feel inside, but I can't portray that in everyday life because I'm going to get nothing done. I'm going to be a mess. I'm going to be out of work. You can see how that spiral, and like you say, layers, 30 years, 40 years, and then fuck. Right.
Yeah, and it's funny. I've not really been watching it, but I'm a Celebrity. I'm not a big fan of those.
Yeah, I'm on a bit of a TV ban. I do like a little bit of Netflix, The Devil's Hour, which I'm watching.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Fucking brilliant.
That's good.
It's. I don't watch many things that grip me. That was like wow. 6 episodes, perfect for me. Some of these things like 5 series, 20 episodes a series. I'm like, no, exactly. I'm like, this won't steal too much of my life. And I read a review, so it was brilliant. And I watched it, and I was like, this is fantastic. And I wake up at 3:33, which is fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that 3:33 thing. Yeah. See, I wake up at that time, but it's probably because I'm going for an old man pee.
Yeah, well, I do old man pees about three times a night, which is worrying. I should probably go and get that checked out. But yeah, when I wake up, the weirdest thing, Pete, is when I go, I know what time it is, and I just know. And sometimes, that's 3:33, but there's other times where I'm like, it's fucking 1:10, and then I look and it's 1:10. Yeah. Weird, mate.
It's funny. I had that with before I got my EMDR. I was awake every night. I couldn't sleep, and there was almost like a light switch went off, and every night now I'm out like a light. It's gone.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's hard not to be cynical of these things. I'm meeting this lady who does Reiki on Saturday,
right.
And again, I've always been like, look, it's, you know, I'm not.
My ex-wife's massive into that.
Yeah, well, my good friend is, and he's a good guy. He's a fighter. He's a tough guy, so that helps because he's tough, you know. And I like, you know, he's saying, "Let's go and try this." And then I've got on the podcast in a couple of weeks, spiritual medium. Although I think she'd kill me if I said that. I don't think that's her official title, like an energy healer. But you know what? I thought, Alex, don't be so fucking cynical all the time, right? Because you know nothing, Alex. This is what's thrown me into a bit of turmoil lately. I've realised that I know nothing. There's
a lot to know out there, isn't there?
You'll never know anything. Because the moment you think you do, you're proven wrong.
Every day's a learning day, mate.
Every day's a learning day. But you get to this stage, I think, in your late 20s, like I was a bit arrogant, a bit cocky. I thought I knew the key to life, to happiness. I knew the rituals, the habits. I was like, I've got it, I've nailed it, I'm flying. Fucking nothing. Seriously, honestly. And then you wake up at 38 and you're like, that was all wrong. Yeah. What I thought would make me happy didn't make me happy. I've got everything I asked for, still feel the same inside. In fact, I feel worse because I've got what I fucking asked for and I still feel like shit.
What do you give a man that's got everything?
Yeah, exactly.
Happiness, and you can't buy that.
Yeah.
It's true. It's very
true. Or purpose. I chase purpose more than happiness.
Yeah, purpose is a big one actually, and that's something I've struggled with about going to sort of retirement. Is what I do, and it'll have to be something that's purposeful.
Well, you've got the strongest purpose ever. Like you go in a building and you drag someone out before they burn to death, right? That's fucking purposeful.
I've got people to do that now.
Yes, but you get my drift, right?
Yeah,
like,
I get
it's that. It's like, well, there's no clearer purpose than that.
Yeah.
You know, forget happiness. That's not going to exist there for you, but there's purpose there.
Yeah, I'm extremely proud of my time in, but it's hard going. It can be hard going.
Of course, man. But we need people like you.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No.
Ask my colleagues.
We need people like you. Yeah. Of course we do.
Appreciate that.
No, we do. Imagine if there were men that didn't have the courage that you've got. We wouldn't have firefighters.
No,
we wouldn't have nurses. We wouldn't have doctors. We wouldn't have people in the military. That basically their job is to keep us safe, and they're not respected enough. There was this guy who was on this little video clip, and he was saying, you know when you call the guy a hero, I think he's like 102 or something, and he's like, I'm not a hero. You know, the heroes are the people that lost his lives. He said, but the bond that those guys form in that fucking pit of war, he said, you won't experience it with a woman. He said it's the band of brothers. You know, when you go through something traumatic together as a bunch of guys, like you form friendships like you have from the past. But that's through struggle and through challenge. You don't form those friendships with people that you just meet down the pub for a pint. It's when you go through something together. So we need people like you, and it always pains me when we don't show enough gratitude towards the people in our services. I mean, people get attacked on their jobs now and stuff like that. Yeah, it must drive you. I mean, I won't get you started on that because I can only imagine. It pisses me off. But you can imagine people that have been in that situation sitting there and going, "What the fuck is wrong with us, man? Like, the world's hard enough. Like, do we really want to make it harder?"
You wouldn't believe half the stuff that goes on.
No, I would.
And it's not. And it's got worse in the last.
I know. I believe it. And JP always says this. He's like, "Look, if you're not going to be an ambitious guy, that's fine, but at least don't make the world worse." Do you know what I mean? At least don't make the world a fucking worse place to live. Because then he says you are useless. You know, then you are a burden. Which is true. It's hard. It's straight to the point.
It is.
But if you're the kind of person that spends all your time insulting other people on the internet or insulting paramedics, then get a life, man. Fucking hell. How shit must it be for you?
Yeah, the job's tough enough without getting grief for parking in the street and, you know,
can imagine. Let's not
jumping
go there,
up and down in the chest.
Let's not bring out our angry side, mate. Let's not bring out Angry Pete and Angry Al. We don't want that podcast.
You don't want it. Yeah, actually, it's funny because Alan sent me a text yesterday saying he was replying to that Facebook thing he put out, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And he sent me a message, just be yourself. Yeah. And I just sent him back. I said, do you think that's really a good idea?
It's always a good idea.
He went, probably not. I said, you're not a very good. He says, not a good. What was it? Not a good pep talk from my mad doc.
Yeah,
he's like,
he's he likes to go a bit savage. Hopefully you feel like you have been yourself today.
Yep.
I try and keep the conversation like I do. There's no interview. It's just me and you chatting. And I think that's another reason we started the podcast saying, how can you have these open discussions on a podcast? They just come out.
Yeah, it's been good.
It's weird. It has been great. I mean, we're locked in this room. Yeah. It's weird how we say.
Great place, mate.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's wrap this up. We've been going for an hour and 40. It's one of the records we've been chatting.
Wow.
Briefly then, what's next for you? So this is a good time to ask you this, actually. You might not know the answer. But yeah, what do you envision coming up? Do you have any goals or ambitions over the next, I don't know, 6 months, 12 months? Is there anything that you're chasing? Like, what do you think the next chapter in your life is?
So, obviously, I want to get back at work at some point. How that forms, what that's going to be, I don't know. I'll say I can go in December. If I do decide to go, I've got a number of options. One is the PTing that I do. So I coach. I do classes and coach be a qualified PT. A good friend of mine who runs the business has mentioned that he'd want me to be part of that and maybe run a gym, which I'd love to do. I get a lot out of coaching.
Running the gym's awesome.
PT and stuff. Yeah, I get a lot out of the clients. They're a great bunch.
Would you set your own thing up?
I don't know. I'd probably go into business with him because he's very good. And has
he got his own facility? Is what I mean.
Not yet, but that's part of the sort of plan.
If you need help on that, that's what I've done traditionally.
Oh, is it?
I've built a business from the ground up in terms of PT.
I'll get him in contact.
Yeah, I know that business quite well.
Yeah, it's because it can be a quite cutthroat, can't it? So it's.
It can. Again, it's like anything. You come up with a good reason to set your own place up with good intentions to help people, and then you let people know what problems you can solve, and they will come, and you treat them well, and you look after them. Yeah. It's quite simple. Most PTs are fucking terrible.
Oh yeah.
That at my gym, they're horrendous. They're on their phone all the time. They're completely out of shape. Not a good look, man. And I'm like, the first thing, if I was mentoring any young PT, would be care about who's in front of you. Even if you're shit. Like, I was a terrible PT at first. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I cared, man. I was going to get the best out of you. Old school.
Yeah, I know about
old school. Yeah, like, I will get more out of you than you get in yourself, and then we'll have a cup of tea.
And you Pete the Punisher.
But you do it out of love, because there's punishing, and then there's like, I'm going to get the best out of you, and then we'd have a cup of tea after, and I'd sit with them. Just little things like that.
Yeah. And we've grown a friendship with these people. So is my partner.
Yeah.
And she doesn't go to classes. She's just got friendly with all the common. So it's been great.
Yeah.
So I think, for me, it's about the next episode in my life, because I've spent the last 35 years at 150 mile an hour.
Yeah.
And I just want to sit back, see my children grow up, enjoy life with my partner, and just be myself, as I've always tried to be.
Retirement age should be so much lower if you're in a job like that. If you're seeing that kind of stuff on a daily, weekly basis.
I'm a lucky one, mate. The guys now are going to have to go till they're 65. I couldn't imagine kicking down doors and going for a burning building at 65. Never in a million years. Never. It's hard enough at bloody 25.
I thought there was areas in the police where you could only do, like, isn't it with child pornography and stuff like that? It's 10 years or something. Like, has that changed now? I mean, I don't know. Like, they were saying, like, we can only expose you to this for so long because it's gonna fuck you up.
Operationally, you can go from whenever you join through to when you retire. Unless you go through the rank structure, you can be on the back of a frontline truck for the rest of your whole career. And I know guys that have done it, and it's. Funny enough, I was talking to a mate of mine this morning, and he's got 20 years left. He's been in the job 20 years. And he said, I'm going to have to go through the promotion, mate, because my body's getting a kicking.
I'm sure.
Because it's hard work. It can't be hard work.
Physically, mentally.
Oh.
Yeah. I think when you're doing a job that's physically demanding, but mentally you don't have to switch on. But when you've got both, when you're mentally being put through it every day and physically, it's like, whew, that's asking a lot.
Don't get me wrong, it's the best job in the world. I've loved it. I loved it.
Well, it's a bit like you said about the kids being the most challenging but rewarding thing. I can imagine it being the same in that kind of job. It's so hard, but you're saving people, man. It's like, fucking hell, what better thing to do?
I think so.
And then final question. What do you specifically need to work on now in order to become a better man?
God, you got some good questions here, mate.
I'll save them right to the end, mate. Yeah. Get about 5 minutes worth of good questions.
Read your book now. I don't know. What have I got to work on? I think consistency. Because you know yourself, training consistently is the only way you get any progress. And I think, if you go into a gym and you spend an hour in a gym, you walk out and you look in the mirror, nothing's changed.
Yeah. That's true.
It doesn't. And I think that's probably one thing we've noticed about being PT is people expect results like that. It doesn't happen. I think consistency, but not only consistency in my training, but consistency in life, really.
Yeah, I get
setting
that.
a better plan, because it's been a bit higgledy-piggledy the last few years, and that's been more about my life being in turmoil and my head being in turmoil. I'm in a far better place I was 5 years ago, and a far, far better place than I was 6 months ago. And I've sort of woken up these last couple of weeks and I've had a real love inside me. It sounds a bit sort of twee, I know, but I've had this real sort of passion for life and a real love for my kids and my family, and particularly my wife.
No, I can resonate with
she's
that.
a good woman. She's a good woman.
I think you fuck up so many times that you realise what's good in your life, and you can start to become that word grateful for some of the stuff you've got. And love, again, like you say, it sounds fluffy, but like that word love, if you can learn how to love properly, because a lot of us don't know how to do it. We'd rather go off and do other shit. Because
that's hard as well. Love is hard.
Oh, it's much harder than fighting. Yeah, loving's the hardest thing ever.
Yeah.
Putting your neck on the line, loving someone, loving people, it's scary. Mate, well, great God, we can talk, couldn't we?
Nice one, mate. Thank you.
1 hour 45. Awesome. Yeah, it's been good, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been good, mate. I really appreciate it. I was a bit worried about it, to be honest.
So I was nervous too. I knew we'd have a great conversation. It's just I felt out of practice, but that was brilliant. Conversations, it's important.
Definitely. We should do more of it.
We should. Absolutely. Mate, thank you. Absolutely.
Awesome, mate. Awesome.
Oh, that was good. I'm tired.
Ciao,
mate. I'm knackered after that.